Hey, what's going on, fight fans? Hey, this is Coach D, the Wild Man, coming at you again. I am emphasizing on the Wild. Y'all been waiting for this for a minute. It is time. The Wild Hour is back. I say again, the Wild Hour was back with Coach D, the Wild Man, and Chad, the mother effing Burns. So it is what it is. So let's get down with it. Chad, what's going on, man? You miss me?
Hey, I don't know. I don't know if it's I miss you or you miss me, but there's been a lot of conversations and a lot of phone calls made about when are we going to do this? So yeah, here's where we're at.
And it's about time. We're about to go into 2023, and it's time to let the world know who we are and what we do. And what we do is bring it to you how we bring it to you, which is live and uncensored and most definitely wild. So, what we're gonna do today is just catch everybody up. Everybody's been wondering what's new with us, what's going on, and what's getting ready to happen for the new year, and basically what we doing, man. So, Chad, what we doing?
So I mean, it almost feels weird because it almost feels like a complete reintroduction, but we're going back to doing what we do.
Yeah.
Everybody tries to do this and they screw it up one way or the other, or that they don't give the fans exactly what they want.
Hmm.
They reiterate news or reiterate headlines, and everybody's clickbait, share all that bullshit. But they're not creating, they're not entertaining, they're not putting it out there, and I think that's what we do, and we do it the best.
Yep. Hey, I will go with that. We do it the best. So what it comes down to is, like I said, we're really looking to put the Southeast on notice when it comes to podcasting, talk TV, combat sports as a whole, and basically tell the stories that need to be told, show the fighters that need to be showcased, and have a good time doing it. Right. So basically, y'all get to be entertained by what we do. We just talk that shit. So get ready for 2023 to be about being seen, being heard, and being at the right place at the right time for everybody can enjoy what we do. Right. So today we're going to talk about a couple of topics and just hang out with you for about an hour. And just have some fun. So you're gonna see us cut up. You're gonna see what we're gonna do. We're gonna talk about some old stories. We're gonna talk about some news stories, and we're gonna keep you engaged. That's about it. That's about it. So Chad, what was the shoot? What was the last show you seen? Talk about freaking fighting. What was the last show you seen?
Are we talking live or are we talking like on TV?
Shoot.
Because I mean, the last one that I was watching on TV, I watched my boy Brooks
Yeah.
win the championship at one the other day, and that was fun just for the simple fact of you pop up at 9:30 in the morning and the fights are on live
Mm-hmm.
because they're on the other side of the world. So that was the last one I've seen on TV. But live, I'm gonna say well, probably the Greenville show, the last Greenville show they had up here. Um, I went
Shoot.
to,
Greenfield was
and
conflict, wasn't it?
no,
Who?
um,
I'm trying to think.
I think it was no, I believe that was the Oxnard show.
Okay. Okay. You know what? I haven't been to a showcase show since shit, maybe 2018, maybe even before that. It's been a minute, a
I've
real
been
minute.
it's there's always something that comes up that gets me to go out. The last one I went to down at Myrtle Beach, I was working helping the commission,
Hmm.
and then one of the ones up here, one of the last ones up here, I had to go wrap hands and this, that, and other. But I haven't been to a live show that I was like, oh, I know this person, this person, this person. I'm just itching to go watch the show. It's been a minute.
Okay.
Um, where we wasn't working,
Yeah,
working.
yeah.
Um, but that actually, I mean, that almost hits one of our topics we was talking about earlier. Of I don't know, things seem so one sided on the regional scene lately
Mm-hmm.
that it's hard to get fired up of I really want to go watch this fight. It almost seems like, oh, they made sure to get a hometown person with a big name and a nobody with a losing record and put them together so that they bring the fans out. And it's really hard to get me fired up to come and watch something locally anymore.
Well, you know
I
what?
don't know. I had high hopes for the new bare knuckle company.
Well, that's a good point. So I was lucky enough to really had a good tour of promotions in 2022. Like I said, I've um global freaking BYB, which we'll talk about. Shoot, Ram, freaking even Weston Wilson. He did upstate fights. You know, so I made the rounds basically, and you're kind of right. We're really not getting a high A versus a high B. We're getting a decent A, and I don't even know the name of the B most of the time. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, okay, who is
Yeah.
this guy? Let me go Google. You know what I'm saying? I don't see the
And I
call outs no
think
more.
that was something before. No, you don't see the call out. You're not seeing the fighters really say, "Hey, I want the best guy. I want the number one or the number two." You're not seeing the level anymore. I mean, it has really struggled the last couple of years, and kind of like what you said, they get a hometown person that's an A, and this other person there's no telling where they come from, and it's don't pay attention to the record, don't pay attention to this, that, other. They're good. This is gonna be a good fight, and most of the time it's not. It's so one sided. It's like, oh, you just showed up to see whoever you like to win, and you knew they were going to win before you left the house, and that almost makes it look like a old school boxing, and that's one of the reasons boxing died. That it looks so one sided,
Yeah.
and rigged almost, and I hate that, and I don't know who to pin that on. If that's the matchmakers or the fighters not really stepping up and making sure that they're always trying to fight top fighters, or is that people just being more than willing and happy to pad their records? Um, I don't know. It's a letdown on the local scene from what I've seen. I don't know, the last 2 3 years really.
Well, shoot, and then you got to look at, okay, who is our active stars. I had to really sit down and go, who would I say is a star? Like when that person comes out, everybody's going. You know what I'm saying? He's a household name,
You
or
mean
she.
regionally?
No, locally. I'm talking about locally. Because remember, back in the day, who do we have? We had our Scoggins. Uh, who we had at that time? That when you heard that name.
Well, it depends. If you were up in Charlotte, you had Rockstar Keith Richardson.
Hmm.
If you were down here, you had Scoggins, either one, Jared or Justin. Um, if you was down at Myrtle Beach, you you had good goodness. There's a list a mile long. Marvin Skipper,
Hmm.
shout out to Marvin. You had a couple of the big dogs down there. Even Andy Nguyen from down there.
Hmm.
You just depending on where you were at. If you were at Atlanta, you had Nate, you had that whole crew down there. But nowadays, you're just not hearing a lot about it.
Yeah.
You're not really seeing the superstars pop
Hmm.
up.
Because most of them are either relocated, or semi retired, or they're not doing the rounds anymore. Like, look at who did we just talk about that you said we got married, and we got on about missing weight. God dang it, Joel
Joel,
Maddock. So Joel just
yeah,
basically retired from MMA. He's just doing grappling. Casey Ossagine
yeah,
pretty much.
he stepped back and decided he was going to do like a pro style grappling, which there's a call for that nowadays,
Yeah.
and I'm all about that. You
Mm-hmm.
know, Chad Bingham, who married Sarah,
Mm-hmm.
when they moved out to California, I mean that's all he does. You
Mm-hmm.
know, between running a school, but as far as competition, you know, but the money's there, and the risk as far as injury
Really?
is way less,
So you
and
saying?
the longevity's there. I mean, you look at the numbers of people like Gordon Ryan who competes at a top level. Look at the kind of money he's making. I mean, the chances of injury are way less. You can do it way more. It's not nowhere near as hard on your body. Your career can be much longer. I mean, there's a lot of assets to that, and I'm all for it. Like I'm totally all for it. I'm a big jiu-jitsu fan. I'm all for it.
Well,
But going back to kind of what you were saying though, when you have somebody like that that's a local, let's just stay with the phrase star, like you said,
mm-hmm.
who's stepping up to take that place?
Yeah.
Like who's stepping up? Like I said, Joel was trending to be a big deal on the MMA scene locally and a problem.
Yeah.
Like a problem. He was just going to be a problem, especially as seasoned as he was getting, as fast as he was getting there. Who's stepping up to take that place? I don't know. Like you said, they're either moving out of the region or they're moving up, and I don't know. There's just not a lot of local stars like they seem to used to.
Well, I did a podcast and I talked about freaking Josh Oxendine. I was like, he's gotten out of MMA, but he's staying extremely active in boxing and now bare knuckle.
Bare knuckle.
He fought
Yeah.
two fights for Global Legion in boxing, and he was either the main event. The first one he did, he was a main event. The second one he did was a co main event, and then he just BYB, and I think he might have been the feature in that. So he's gotten popular enough and a fan favorite enough to where he can stay active. Where we got guys who can't even get fights, period. When we got everybody coming to South Carolina, because North Carolina is just about dead. So all your combat sports is here in the Carolinas, and you got fighters saying they can't get fights. How was that happening? You know what I'm saying?
Well, that goes back to, I mean, you can say it time and time again. If you think sports are all about fighting, you're in the wrong business. You've got to be able to promote yourself. You've got to understand the business, be willing to grow in the business. Building your fan base is so huge. And it's not, oh, 2 weeks out from a fight, let me go on Facebook and tell everybody I'm selling tickets, so send me a message. It's, I can think of people that were really great at it, and I can think of people who really sucked at it. And it doesn't matter the level. I've seen people get to that UFC level, but they suck at selling fights. They suck at selling the fan base. And then I've seen people on a regional scene or a local scene that kill it. Like absolutely, if they come on social media and say, "Hey, I'm fighting," people start like calling out of work. Like it always comes to mind, Domo Brewer.
Yeah.
I mean, this kid was renting buses for people to come and watch him fight.
Mm-hmm.
Like, who does that?
Nobody.
Like, on an amateur level,
Mm-hmm.
he was doing it. Not even a pro level. An amateur level, he's renting full scale buses and bringing people to the event just to watch him fight. I mean, he just understood the business side of it and how to build a fan base. And I
Yes.
think you went and spoke to him actually in his hometown.
Hmm. And you want to laugh? Let me quick story about that, right? So of course you don't think about a person's life until somebody put you in it. Like Domo Buer was literally from the streets. I mean, hardcore. If I'm not mistaken, his dad was in a gang, and we're talking about it. So you see, he's a smile, nice guy, got kids, but he was ruthless, right? You don't think about it now because you see him. He's fighting in our area, in our arena, you know. But when I went on his block, my stupid ass, right? So we went to the hood, right, to see some of the people he grew up with, not thinking we in the hood, right? So we was walking, and I had my lady with me, and she was doing a recording, and we were talking to one of the guys he was raised with. He was an older guy. He was an old school. He was an OG. Talking about Damo. He go, yeah, man, we was crazy back then, man. Let me tell you something. We would have took your camera while you was recording. I was like, wait a minute, this motherfucker ever can do it now. I said, we better. I said, man, we better get up out of here, boy. I cut that thing real quick. I said, look, yeah, let's get in this car. Let's head on over here to the other side of town.
No, I've heard stories. Like he's the real deal.
Yeah.
Uh, I've heard stories about them scrapping in the street and everything else, and
Hmm.
I mean he's the real deal. But he's very ambitious and really a good dude, and he really understood from jump the business side of it, of
Hmm.
growing a fan base and building a brand,
Hmm.
just building a brand so that when you step out, you're recognized by people.
Yeah. And I think what was Jet's? I can't think of Jet's first name. It escaped me. He just fought at
Yeah,
Bare Knuckle. Um,
it should have been notorious
yeah,
because Jet's got as many stories about him as Domo does.
yeah. They
And
got
I
real
think they
beef.
actually fought in the street one time.
Yeah, they got actual. That's why I consider myself lucky that I was able to be a part and listen to some of the stories that probably people would never have known about because it's streets. You know what I'm saying? You ain't gonna hear about it no other place but street gossip until you're lucky to tell that story. So that's why I'm big
I
on
was
telling people's
actually at
story.
a fight. I was actually at a fight. I want to say it was in Spartanburg, South Carolina.
Hmm.
And this is a few years back,
Yeah.
like a few years back. And I remember Jet was the main event, but I can't remember who he was fighting.
Hmm.
For the life of me, I can't remember who he was fighting. But I remember Blake Grice was there. I remember Sarah McMahon was there, and at the end of the night, there was a big controversy, like a lot of behind the stage beef between the two guys in the main event.
Hmm.
And I can't remember how it actually went down, but the next thing you know, you got Jet jumping over the cage, like almost inciting things.
Uh-huh.
You got the crowd jumping and wanting to rush the cage. You got, all of us right there cage side kind of going, what in the hell is going on? And trying to keep it from becoming just an absolute like carnival. And it was wild. But I do remember Jet was in the middle of
And
it. He brings a lot of attention anywhere he goes.
and he ain't changed. He did the same thing at BYB. So the guy, I heard this after the fact. So I couldn't make it to the weigh-ins, but I was there for the live show. So hold on one second. So I was listening to the guys in the crowd talk about it. He said the guy he was getting ready to fight was talking shit during weigh-ins, and Jet just went off. He said, "Look, mother effer, I'm gonna kill you when the fight starts. You know that, right? You know that, right? I can't wait. I can't wait for this fight. I'm gonna show you exactly what it is, and you gonna feel all this." So I didn't hear it until he was getting ready to fight. So he's jumping up and down inside the trigon, right? I go, what is he doing? I mean, he was just hopping, 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 and didn't stop. I go, okay, he must be on that shit. The fuck is wrong with him, right? And soon as the bell rang, he just flew at this guy, and it was like f bare knuckle, f these rules. He gonna catch these hands, right? And that was the whole fight until he finished the dude. He just ran at him, throwing hands. Ran at him again, throwing hands. The ref would break him up. As soon as he says go, ran back at him again, throwing hands. This guy ain't have a chance in hell of throwing anything. And then he went down. And I was like, okay. I was like, Jet's still good with his hands, right? Dude was next to me go, man, that was an elbow. I go, was it? He was throwing everything at him though. He didn't care at
That was
all.
an elbow. Jet's a different. He's a different animal, man. You got those ones that literally they're there to do one thing and one thing only. They're there for violence, and it reminds me of like a Joe Elmore.
Yeah.
Joe Elmore is one of the nicest guys you ever meet.
Mm-hmm.
But when he's there and you've signed a contract, especially if you've talked even the smallest amount of shit, he's there for violence.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
violence, period. You're
Mm-hmm.
going to get your money's worth. He's there to do a job.
Yep.
And I love those type of guys, but they can be unpredictable.
Mm.
It,
Oh yeah.
it can get exciting at weigh-ins if ain't somebody there watching.
Oh yeah. And I saw some of his couple of old fights. Yeah, he's a little bit violent. So bare knuckle suits him just fine. Just fine.
Oh yeah, I think he's found a really good home at bare knuckle, as has some of the other ones. And that kind of goes back to what you were talking about. Some of the people that decide to step away from MMA. I
Mm-hmm.
don't necessarily think that's a bad thing. I think some people get into it, decide they suited more for just Muay Thai competition. Some get in it and go, I wanted to get in it just to do it, but now I'd rather just grapple. And then you got some that switch to boxing or bare knuckle. Um, I can go name after name after name after that, but one that always pops in my mind about that is Taylor Starling.
Mm-hmm.
you know, had a successful MMA career. She had a fan base, but she wasn't skyrocketing nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
She tried a little bit of boxing, a little bit of kickboxing, but when she went to bare knuckle, it was like, okay, fan base through the roof. Now here's the attention. And I think she's seen that really quick of, hey, this is where it's at. I'm pretty good at this, and I'm getting a lot of response from the fans. I think this is where I need to be. So I think some fighters have to kind of to test the waters here and there to find where their niche is and what suits their fighting style best and where the fans want them to be. I mean, for a better look at it.
Okay, well let's stick with Taylor for a minute. So, do you think it's her bare knuckle fighting or her branding? Because she branded herself as that sexy female that fights, kind of like Andy Wynn. Now Andy Wynn is in bare knuckle, and they did I think a fight calendar together. Sex appeal out the wazoo. So it wasn't really about how good of a fighter I am. Sometimes it's about how good I look, and I also fight. What do you think?
Well, I mean, we've had that conversation many times over the years, and I think it wouldn't have mattered if you'd have done that same thing in Muay Thai. She wouldn't nowhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was the right place at the right time with the right look, with the right attitude, and the right skill set, and it just worked and took off. If you tried to recreate it today, it might not work. Yeah, it was. I definitely think all of that made for the perfect timing, and she took off. You see a lot of other fighters try it, and it doesn't work the same.
Well, Well, do you think they're in?
There's another fighter in boxing, Ebony Bridges,
Yeah.
that she's caught a lot of flack for, her OnlyFans and for the way she literally will be scantily clad at weigh-ins. But she's a champion, and it makes you go, well, oh, well, it's because of this. Oh, all the fans and all the looks and all the photos in the world don't change nothing when that bell rings and you got to throw them hands. She can fight. Like at the end of the day, she can fight. Now, is she getting attention from the fighting or attention from all the other stuff she does? I think it's kind of a moot point. The point is she's getting the attention.
What do you think? When you look at Tyler and Andy, you think because they're in a niche market like bare knuckle that supports that, they got OnlyFans as one of their big sponsors, that niche market and can encourage and support sex appeal where every other promotion can't. Either UFC is like, don't ask, don't tell. You know what I'm saying? They got plenty of fighters
Sure.
who are doing OnlyFans, but you don't hear them support it or go, hey, let's celebrate that. They just let it go and don't say nothing. What the fighter does, the fighter does. Where bare knuckle, they let you put that sponsor on your shorts, on your shirt. Look at that. What what's Emily Till or whatever her name was that showed her breasts at the end of the fight. You know what I'm saying? When she won in bare knuckle
Oh, you're
Thailand.
talking, yeah. Uh, I know the name and I can't remember it. Emery something.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, she's another one. Big follower, big name. She had her moment to make
A
a
statement.
really big scene, and she made that statement. You know, got a lot of attention for it, caught a lot of flack for it.
Well, but she said
But
I saw an interview. I mean to cut you off. I saw an interview where she said that because she did that, even though people want to say what they want to say, her OnlyFans skyrocketed. So I kind
oh,
of took a
sure,
I kind of took a step back and started looking at the numbers of who is successful with OnlyFans, and a lot of
let me step right
fighters.
here. Continue. I can
All
hear
right,
you.
but a lot of female fighters who are rocking with OnlyFans are successful, where the money they're making is more what they're making in combat sports. So they may not. It benefits them to do what they're doing with OnlyFans and how they're exposing themselves because they're making the money that they're not going to get from sponsorships or their promotions. So you can't really knock what they're doing. You know what
Well,
I'm saying?
you made a very good point. You're making a really good point. All right, you could make that a whole new topic.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this. If the fighters could make a really decent living, I'm not saying having to eat rice and beans, I'm saying make a decent living off of what they were making in sponsorships, would they still do it?
Yeah. Look at Paige
I,
Van Zandt.
that's the question. Paige is out there doing everything, and I know she's still getting paid, and at a certain level, if they've done it right, they're making YouTube money. They're making, Twitter money.
Mm-hmm.
They're making sponsorship money. They're making training money. But it's a different avenue that they can make a lot of money in.
Mm-hmm.
And I really think it's changed the game in the last couple of years.
It has.
Like, it's really changed the game.
Mm-hmm. So now female fighters have an avenue of growth that they can actually compete with some of the men when you're talking about receiving pay. You know what I'm saying?
Sure,
So it's
sure.
it's
Used to the argument was, well, the men are making more money and blah 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 blah. But now I really see it going the other way. Of some of the female fighters have the ability to make more money, like a way more money.
Mm-hmm.
And when you talk about bare knuckle, a lot of the people now are wanting to come see the females fight.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's really, really took off in bare knuckle, the female fighters.
Yeah. Well, let's talk. Let's lead that into um sports and entertainment. Are we seeing as many quality fights as we used to, or are we seeing let's throw a fight together for entertainment value, whether they win or lose? Look at Conor McGregor losing streak, still gets a title shot or main event. Look at George Masvidal, who I
Sure.
think just got arrested, losing streak, still gets title shot or main event. Nate Diaz, before he left the UFC, title shot, main event, right? So now, even when you lose, you win. Now you got guys like Sean O'Malley barely squeaking out a win that some people said he didn't win. You got Patty the Pimblat or Patty the Batty not even winning by everybody's standards, but the judges are giving to them because they're popular fighters. So the question becomes, does popularity get you over? Does or being a quality fighter get you over? Because a lot of guys coming out of Dagestan and so on with great records, but they're still not getting on. Not just yet. They're getting there, but not quite. Even though they have undefeated records. You know what I'm saying? So, what's your take on that?
Sure. Um, that goes back to what I said a little earlier. Back in the day, it was you got to beat the man to be the man,
Yeah.
and to get or win that championship belt, you had to definitively beat the champion, or the judges would almost just give it to him.
Yep.
It's almost gotten that way, and I hate to say it, but I think a lot of people would side with me. Now with the popularity, it's like being the champ. You got to definitively beat that person, or the judges might slide to them a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
The judges caught a lot of flack for the last Patty fight.
Mm-hmm.
When they're doing the scoring at the end of the round, and they had the little guy with the red head, orange body, whatever, and it shows strikes and this, that, and other. It's hard for you to go, well, here's your winner. And then they throw that scale up, and one guy is beat blood red all the way down, and the other one isn't. And they go, oh, but this guy won.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know. We've had that conversation time and time again, especially recently, not just in combat sports. I mean, a little bit of everywhere, not just MMA rather.
Mm-hmm.
But now popularity is a huge thing. Will it slide the judges? I think so. And I think sometimes the fan base sees it and gets pissed about
Okay, so let's throw this in there. With that being said, it is an entertainment is winning more than quality of fights. It is it because of Jake Paul, or were we going there anyway? So now we got boxing was been on a decline. Now we got this entertainment boxing where you got a boxer versus MMA, or a boxer versus a popular YouTube star, or boxing versus another podcaster. So you don't even have to be a qualified fighter to be able to get a fight and get paid soundly. So do you think a lot of fighters are now disenfranchised because they've been at it for over 6 7 years, maybe a decade, still making low six figures, or if that? Then you got a fighter who's been retired for 2 years, like a Ben Askren, get in there and clear $1 million for being knocked out in 30 seconds. How would you feel as a
Well, I think
fighter?
the proof's there. What was it Nate Diaz said when Connor flew through the ranks, and it wasn't just because of his winning,
Yeah.
but flew through the ranks. Nate turned around and said, "You're taking everything I worked for, motherfucker.
Yeah.
Like, just because you're running your mouth and you're trying to build this name and you're entertaining, you're taking every fucking thing I worked for." And he
Yeah.
was right.
Yeah.
Jake Paul, perfect example. Because I've got so many YouTube followers and I can guarantee so much percent are going to watch me fight. The next thing you know, he's a celebrity and they're talking about how great a boxer he is. It was actually almost ridiculous
Yeah.
until he turned around and beat a couple of old guys that they thought were good fighters and started making him look legitimate.
Okay, but
But
then
I think he's seen the trend of the McGregors, so to speak,
mhm.
of, hey, if I can get out here and I can make enough noise and I can be entertaining and whatever, whatnot, I can make money at this.
Yeah.
And I think he was the right place, right time, and he did it.
Okay, but then that goes into the conversation of hand-picked fights. So can we get mad when the fans accepts a hand-picked fight? It wasn't through the rankings. It wasn't this is the next guy in line. He goes, you know what? I want to fight that guy. Even though he's coming off hip surgery, he's been retired from combat sports. He has a fairly decent name. He used to be a belt holder. I think I can handle it. That's still picking a fight. So then we get mad when another promotion does it. Like look at some of the fights we've seen
Right.
lately. Clearly not the fighter I would pick. Now, I'm not talking shit about well, yeah, I am a little bit. I'm not, saying I'm not saying how does it happen or why it happens. This is the sport. If somebody can sign the dotted line and show up, he can fight. Now look at Paul Teagues. Paul Teagues has been around this sport forever, right? He's retired 8 or 9 times. You know what I'm saying? He's got his son fighting, right? But he seems to
And
constantly show
girlfriend and
up
everybody else.
and he gets fights. He's getting ready to fight at bare knuckle in Myrtle Beach against what's Busha? I've been saying his last name wrong. Um
Yeah, Busha.
yeah.
Um,
So
yeah,
hold
he's
on, let me
notorious
finish.
for people
Let me
pulling
finish.
out on him.
But then we get other fighters who complaining that they can't get fights. So is it Paul Teague is just the luckiest mother effer in the world, or does he fight for cheap, or what is it that he's continued to stay active where other fighters aren't? So that's what I get about these hand-picked fights. Sometimes you don't know what the hell you're looking at. You know what I'm saying?
That's actually a really really good question. Um, I don't even know that he can answer, but it's actually a really really good question. Uh, how do you have not so stellar a showing and keep getting pulled to fight after fight after fight after fight?
Yeah,
Um, I don't know. I don't know.
because
I know he was one of the very first ones I seen that popped on that was going to be on bare knuckle in Myrtle Beach,
mhm,
and I was like, hmm, okay. But is that because he's a South Carolina guy? Is that because he was calling up the promoter begging to fight? Is it because he's just got a really, really good manager? I don't know. But you make a good point of there's a lot of really good fighters out there that I hear them time after time after time complain that they can't find a fight.
mhm.
Um, Justin Scoggins, I talked to him wasn't too long ago. That was before this last injury, and that was like the first thing he had to say was, "Dude, I can't get a fight.
Mhm.
Nobody wants to fight."
Mhm.
And he's an absolute great fighter. Um, I don't know. Maybe you can ask Paul that. How
I,
you
I might
pulling this off?
I might have to, but that also brings up another confusing point when you're talking about okay, the Carolinas, the fights happening at Myrtle Beach. We want local fighters, but hell, freaking the one of the biggest names in South Carolina is not fighting on that card, which is Taylor Starling. This is literally her backyard. She's just got done fighting at
I didn't notice that.
at Global Legion, in a boxing match. She was commentating on the card before that, so she's staying active, right? She's back fighting, but she's
Right.
not fighting for bare knuckle. And I don't remember never hearing any post saying I'm done with bare knuckle. I'm just gonna do boxing. I don't think I've seen that. Have you seen that?
I don't think you're going to. I think she's got a home there. I still think, even though a lot of people gave her flack for the last performance and the loss to Christine, I seriously still think that she has a job to do there.
Yeah.
Um, Maybe she's just taking a little bit of time off to regroup, retrain, because sometimes the best thing to do ain't jump right back on the same horse.
But can you afford?
Sometimes the best thing to do is to train much harder, level up, and then go back in. You know what I mean?
Okay, but would you consider? So we're talking about business and marketability. Can you afford not to fight in the sport you chose, which is bare knuckle, all the branding you done for bare knuckle, and then it's your backyard where all your fans are? How many fans can go to
Yeah,
Mexico to watch you fight, or go to Florida, or to go the? This is the best chance you're gonna have for your fans to come see you do you, and then you're not
sure.
fighting. So to me, I'm just asking questions. It don't really makes that much sense. So if you're injured, yeah, okay, then you can't fight. So I haven't heard that. So this is a curious conversation. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I was actually surprised as well when I started seeing the fight cards come out. And I'm
Mhm.
like, I figured Taylor was one of the first ones that they were going to beg to be on this card.
Yeah.
I figured, this being in her backyard. Um, I don't know. I've actually been surprised and thought you would have heard a couple of the old school legends in the area jump up.
Yeah.
It also made me wonder, when is Keith Richardson going to try his hand at it?
Well, I
Or is
think
he interested in it?
well, I think he might be easing his way into it because he went from MMA, now he's boxing. Maybe he's trying to get his hand games together, and then maybe he'll take one to the chin with bare knuckle. But after seeing it with BYB, I'm like, man, these knuckles hurt. I don't know about that now because I saw some killers. It's one thing,
It's a different game.
yeah,
It's a
yeah,
totally different game.
yeah,
Stepping from MMA to strict boxing, and even bare knuckle at that, the range is different, the stance is different, your game planning's different, and then it can all go to shit with one shot.
oh
Like
yeah.
it's just it's a different game, but it's interesting, and that's why we watch it, and that's why we you know gear up to for the next one and the next one, about like what we were talking about the other day. I'm like, have you talked to Nate? Have you talked to Andy? Like, are we broadcasting live? What are we going to do? I'm geared up for it. I'm excited for it. I just really want them to I really would like to see them do a little bit more of number four versus number five,
Yeah,
number two versus number three.
yeah.
You know, instead of, oh, well, this one's got a season record and has already been in the sport, and now we're going to throw them somebody who's never even fought. Like, I wish they would be a little bit more diligent about making sure that every fight makes sense rather than just make a fight.
Well,
And I think sometimes that gets lost.
that Pandora's box has been open, and like they said, that ship has sailed. Now you got promoters going, "Hey, this person over here has a good following. Let's see if he wants to fight." That's the conversation being had right now. I've had many behind the scenes conversations with coaches saying, "Man, I get my fighters following up. He can't get a fight." And when you say it that
Yep,
way, you know, it kind of blows
that's a
your
real
mind.
thing.
Yeah. How it don't matter how hard you're training in the gym. If your Instagram is not 10,000 and higher, you're going to be at the end of the line where somebody who's a 500 fighter I got 10,000 subscribers on Facebook or Instagram getting a fight for you, even before you. You know what I'm saying? And
right.
like I said, that Pandora's box has been open. You know what I'm saying? So you can forget that. You know, YouTube
Well,
stars here
I
we
think,
come.
like I said, yeah, I literally said that. I mean, look at the YouTube song.
Mhm.
If that don't tell you where we're at, where we're headed, I don't know what does. And it starts at the local scene.
Yeah.
I've heard it. I've told other people it on the local scene. For those who don't know,
Hmm.
they will turn around and say, "Here, you need to sell these tickets,
Yeah.
and I'm going to give you this percent."
Hmm.
And they start on the local scene of sell, 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 sell. You need to be able to sell tickets, or I'm not putting you on a car.
Hmm.
The ones that are able to sell truckloads get a call every single month of them wanting them to fight.
Hmm.
You've seen it.
Yeah.
The same fighter, the same. You'll have one certain show that they always have the same fighter on month after month after month after month. Why? Because they sell tickets.
Hmm. But I'm gonna talk.
Not like period.
I'm gonna talk a little bit of shit because what happened to the pride of fighting? Meaning, if somebody's getting some love and I think I could beat them, I'm going to grab my phone, hit live, and go, I will fuck that motherfucker right there up. Give me a contract, let me sign it so I can fight this dude if he thinks he's all that. You know what I'm saying? You don't even see that anymore. I did a podcast because Oxygen is a name in a draw right now. Right? I'm like, how come nobody is calling out Josh Oxygen? You know, if you get him, you're gonna be a feature co-main or main guaranteed, but ain't nobody calling him
Sure.
out. Right? I'm like, what happened to that? You know, I get frustrated. You know, maybe you're negotiating some extra dollars and you're not getting it. But to be the man, you have to be the man, like you just said. So if you're not fighting them, how you gonna get on? Who you gonna fight to get on with? You see what I'm saying?
And that's just it. I feel like we were doing a lot of that for a lot of local fighters before,
Mm-hmm.
and we were helping them out with that, and we were drumming up the matches for
Mm-hmm.
them, and where now a lot of them aren't doing it. A lot of them aren't talking with each other and hitting up the promoter and saying, "Hey, I want this guy and I want that guy. I want the belt shot." And I don't know. I feel like they're not hungry and going after the fights as much as they could. They're
Mm-hmm.
not staying on social media and calling people out like you said. They're not staying on social media and constantly posting, "Hey, I'm training my ass off. Get me a fight. Get me in the cage." Or like Juggernaut was doing for Bare Knuckle, showing up at events and saying, "If I'm not on this fucking card, there ain't no card.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm not the champion, there ain't no champion."
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know. I do feel like wholeheartedly nowadays you have to be able to make a name for yourself and you have to be able to get attention when you want it, or Bo, you're just going to be another struggling fighter.
But well, yeah, that's for sure. But now this is probably the best time to start pushing your brand because everybody is in South Carolina right now, right? You got
Sure.
both bare knuckle promotions are making a home in South Carolina, and I heard them both say it. You know, I heard BYB say it. Yeah, we'll be back here in the next couple of months, right? Freaking
Really.
bare knuckle fighting championship is already here planting a flag. So then you got everybody from North Carolina, planting a flag in the Carolinas and putting on fights. When has it ever been this busy for fights? You know what I'm saying? Now Muay Thai is just being picked up by the athletic commission. You see what I'm saying? Youth
Right.
competitions
Right.
is blowing up through the room. This never been a better time to get on. But people aren't not trying to fight. So have we reached a level of softness? where that hardcore mentality is just not here, man. I struggle with it
Well,
sometimes.
I don't know that it's that. I
Or
don't
is it
think it's
or is it
that.
frustration?
I think I think it's not really having the avenue to do it, or not being sure how to do it,
Mm-hmm.
and or some maybe being in fear primarily of, oh well, if all I do is go online and talk shit, I look like the heel, or I'm not sure. But I feel like having the avenue and the platform to do it on, which we provided for a very long time, of people being able to come on, say what they wanted, say who they wanted to fight, and we literally contact
Yeah.
and bring them on and say, hey, is this happening? Is it not? Why
Mm-hmm.
not? You
Mm-hmm.
know, let's make a fight.
Well,
Um, I feel like you have to have that platform as well, which Bare Knuckle has a very, very good one, and makes it easy for people to come on there and talk shit and get the fights they want.
okay. So let's go with that. Of course, it's a risk to go out there and you know call your shot, but that's been going on forever. UFC started it, and from that point
Sure.
on, to get on, you have to call your shots. Let's talk about the fighter we talked about early on, Jared Brooks. Right when I did his interview, he clearly said, if I wanted to have a chance to make more money, I had to go after it. And he called out his
Yeah.
whole division. He called out his whole division and systematically beat them all and then got a title. So he proved it. If you kept your
But
mouth shut,
here's the thing. Here's the thing. Over there, he was the heel.
yeah,
Like, you hear people boo him,
yeah, yeah.
because of how outlandish he was, and how he would go and talk shit to any of them, just begging for a fight,
Mm-hmm.
just begging, just put me in this fight, put me in this fight. Luckily, with the skill set to back it, he ended up the champion.
Mm-hmm.
But look at what he did as soon as he got the belt. They said, who do you want to fight? He was like, well, I just completely took out the whole division. Give me Demetrius Johnson.
Yep.
And I went, oh shit, that's a tall order. Like, Demetrius Johnson, the fucking Demetrius Johnson? Yeah, lifelong dream. Put me in there with him. I mean, he always had the next question already answered.
Yeah.
Of who do you want to fight? Where do you want to go? Where are you headed from here?
And
And if you don't have a plan, who the hell does?
you could only do that if you put yourself in a position. A, he ran his mouth, but B, he delivered. So if you got a fighter saying, I
Sure.
can beat that guy, right? And you try getting the buzz going, which is what we're good at. I'm telling every promotion out there right now, if you want two hype guys that will deliver your show, you might want to holler at the Wow Hour. There ain't nobody. I challenge anybody to hype a fight or hype a car better than us. I'll bring you on. We can go mano with the shit talking and have the fans vote on who talked the better shit. You will lose. Like Drago said with
We
Rocky,
have one of those.
like Drago said in Rocky, if he dies, he dies. You come at us, you will be you will go down burning. Don't try it. So recognize the Wow Hour is the shit for a
I'm
reason.
really ready. I'm really, really ready for us to have some really good fights pop
Yeah,
up.
yeah,
And I challenge any of the promoters, matchmakers, coaches, guys, for the love of the damn sport, quit making these fights just make fights.
yeah.
If you're gonna be a matchmaker, and trust me, I get it. I know I match made. Like, I've sat there and had to make the hard decisions. I know
Mm,
sometimes you just got to make a fight. I get it.
yeah.
I do. I get it. I'm not busting your balls about that. But when I can look at a fight card from one side all the way down, and I go, huh? I'll take everybody that steps out of the red corner. Everybody, all the way down. That's a effing problem.
Mm-hmm.
That is a severe problem of where all you did is get all the little hometown favorites and put them with nobodies. And
Yeah.
that's not fights. Nobody wants to see that shit.
All right. Hold on. Before you continue, I didn't even look at who people who's chiming in. D Curry, he was one of our biggest followers, is on the scene. Yeah, Ryan
DD.
Jet. It took me a minute to get his name right. Yeah, so he's talking about
Yep.
Jet versus Brandon Webb was the fight we were talking about where it went off the rails. So D Curry is normally in the
Yeah.
know, right? But then he can't. He falls off the rails too. But some shit he knows some things. So D, what up, man? Hey, the Wild Hour is back, baby. You excited?
Brandon Webb, that's another one out of Atlanta that just, I mean, phenomenal guy, phenomenal skill set, and is going to go places. No question about it. Like, he's going places.
So you know what I would like to do moving forward? Let's do after our Q&A. All right, fight fans, just also let you know, we'll be doing a Q&A segment of our Wild Hour. So you'll see the agenda. So we'll have a certain time for Q&As where you can chime in and ask your questions, talk about certain fighters and, and just get it out, man. If you're looking for a fight, you're looking for some hype, that's what we're here to do. But also, Chad, we should start doing like I like to call it that that social media matchmaking, man, were fights that we looking to see, man. We're looking to see. So I was thinking,
I mean, we did that for a long time before, and I think we ended up being the matchmakers about half the time.
no shit.
But you guys, y'all got to start being more vocal.
Yeah,
Coaches, be more vocal.
yeah.
Fans, be a lot more vocal.
Hmm.
Like, if you want to see your fighter fight another guy, put it out there. Tag them in it. It has to be talked about, or you leave it in the hands of the damn matchmakers. And I don't give a shit here lately. That's like leaving it in the hands of the judges.
Yeah.
Because here lately, the matchmakers have let us down. They are not trying to get the best to fight the best. They're trying to get some good ticket seller to fight who cares who.
Hmm. And on top of that, there are some fights that just had to have happened because what it set off. Look at that Nick versus Gabe fight at freaking Showcase. It was a fight that nobody barely knew about when it was first going out. All right. Then
Yeah,
Gabe,
that turned into a fight.
yeah, then Gabe gave Nick the two piece at weigh-ins, and it was on. It was a epic
Yeah,
fight that everybody
that's all
wanted.
anybody talked about for the next 24 hours.
Yep, that everybody wanted to see, and not only coaches but promoters let it slip away because there's only a window
Sure.
before a fight becomes dead in the water unless they got history. If it's a three-peat,
Oh, absolutely.
yeah. So they let that fight get away,
Well,
and
even the three peats.
yeah,
I feel like after the first one, can you have a second one if it's controversial or if it goes the distance and it's razor close? Or, but I don't know. That was like Nate Conor McGregor talking about having a third one, and I'm like, dude, nobody wants to see that. Nobody cares. I mean, I like them both, but as far as the fight goes, Nate's gonna win. Um, McGregor, I don't know where he's at, but I think he's lost a lot of his hype train. I think he's lost a lot of his following that he did have.
yeah.
Um, I think they've moved on to the newer rise of the stars, the Patty Pimblets and whatnot. But do I think they're as good? No. I don't care to see Patty fight at all. I don't think he's nowhere near as good. I think he's gotten good at the hype train.
No, he has a niche market where he's from. I don't think the states have
Sure,
embraced him like that, but it's that let's ride him while he's hot conversation. You know what I'm saying? Where you just give him the
sure,
nod, where all these other good fighters who are deservingly should be next aren't. You know, when Sean O'Malley went from number 11th in the rankings, he beat Peter Yan and then became the number one contender. When he lost to Vera, he should have fought Vera again before being the number one contender because Vera beat him, right? Regardless of how it went down, Vera got the nod. So how do you leapfrog the guy that beat you? Which I don't understand about ranking right now.
sure.
But that's the UFC, which they
I
don't give a
just
fuck.
seen
But
Sean Corning chimed in. What's going on, buddy?
Sean, what's the
Um,
word, brother?
yeah, yeah. That's. I think it's so much in your face. It's hard to deny. It's hard to pretend like it's not happening. I mean, it's right there in your face.
Yeah,
People leapfrogging other people that didn't have nowhere near the record or didn't fight the same opponents. It's right there. I think it just goes back to exactly what we were talking about. Of you've got to have a name, you've got to have a following to be able to get up the rankings.
yeah.
Just fighting is not going to get you there. Period.
And
Your
but
mic's picking that up.
yeah, I just got it. But that's the problem. So if you're not a professional shit talker, what do you do? You know what I'm saying? How do you get on? You got to get 12 fights in a row before you even get a shot. Now you're beat up. Now you're exhausted. All your energy that you have, to be the man, you're on the other side of it. Like freaking God damn it. Mine went blank. Tony God damn it. Forget it. Change the
Talk about
subject.
Ferguson.
Ferguson. Yeah. Look. He had to go on a 12 fight win streak. Then he had a long layoff. All that momentum is gone. Now he's losing, and now he's kind of on his way out. And he's not
I
that guy
believe
no
so.
more. Where he had a chance to be. You know what I'm saying?
I feel like I'm not going to use the word just hype, but you gotta have something pushing behind you that gets people excited.
Yeah.
I feel like Connor doesn't have none of it like he did at one time because you want to cheer for that guy that you think's unbeatable, or you want to cheer for that guy that I mean he just seems to be untouchable. It's hard to cheer for the loudmouth that's had his ass whooped the last 5 times he's been out.
Well,
You know what I mean?
the thing is, you're invincible until you become vincible. And after you break your ankle and you got $100 million in the bank, you're like, I don't think I need this anymore. You know what I'm saying? And you can't gear up for it no
Well,
more.
and which kind of throws me off as to why is he still playing the same game, talking the same shit? Sounds like he's reading it off a teleprompter. Of he's saying the same shit, like, "Oh yeah, I'm hungry, I want to fight," and I'm like, "Why? Why would you? Look at how much money you got. You never have to work another day in your life. Your son never has to work another day in his life. Like, you've got income coming in all over the place. Why? What, for one more payday? Like, his proper 12's making way more than he's going to make on the next fight. So why do it?
Well, he
I don't know.
he doesn't have. Think about the competitive mindset, right? He doesn't have legacy, you know, like a George St. Pierre. George St. Pierre has been out the game for what? Almost a decade? Not quite. Maybe like 8 years or
A
whatever.
long time.
Yeah, but
A long time.
they still call him the GOAT. After all this time, they put his name in every. He's one of the great conversations, right? Can Will Connor have that? Will they call Connor one of the greats like they do George St. Pierre? That's
And,
hard to handle when you've done
um,
all this and the only thing people talk about, well, yeah, man, he made a lot of money. And they don't say he was one of the best fighters to ever do it. That's gotta hurt on some level. You know what I'm saying?
well, I feel like they've thrown the word goat out
Yeah,
so much over time. I don't think. Do I think GSP's goat?
yeah.
No. I, Anderson, they said that for forever till he
Mm-hmm.
lost. I
Yep.
feel like that's one of those things that every fighter has a time.
Mm-hmm.
John Jones is the only one of those love him, hate him, like him, dislike him. It doesn't matter. Nobody's beat him.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
And then
nobody's beating him. Nobody is showing that they're at that level. And he's making jokes, literally talking about if I move to heavyweight, I'll take that. If I
mm-hmm.
move back down the light, I'll take that too. None of y'all can fight at the level I can.
Yep.
And he showed it time and time and time again.
And
If he could
and
just get the rest of his life straight, I mean,
well, and Demetrius Johnson said it pretty good. He said that when you have to fight and you don't got pay per view points or you're not in that star position, then you have to keep grinding. And he brought up John Jones. He said John Jones has done so good as a champion with pay per view and so on that he can not fight for 3 years and don't miss it. Right? How many fighters can take 3 years off and not struggle, not go crazy to get a
yeah,
fight? Where I got to go, oh, I got to
well,
fight, I got to
well,
pay
there's a
these
lot of
bills.
them. There's a lot of them. Like you said, they're starving. They're starving armies.
Yeah.
They're begging to fight, begging to fight, begging to fight, and still not getting the fights that they need.
Mm-hmm.
John Jones had that money.
Yeah.
He had those big pay per views of where he could sit back, he could wait, he could
Mm-hmm.
wait his time.
Yeah.
Um, but I think he's running out of time. He's not going to be. You got to remember the fans change hands every couple of years.
Yeah.
Now, is he a talk? Only to some of us older fans.
Mm-hmm.
The newer fans is like John who?
Yeah.
Who's that? And here's my question: when he does come back, he's been out of the game how many years?
Yeah. Going on 3.
Like we're talking ring rust, we're talking all kind of questions come into play. So what's those odds look like, and who are you going to put him against? You going to bring him right in and give him a shot against the champion? Is that
Well,
what we're doing?
well, that's the conversation. It was either Stipe or Francis Ngannou. Both those two at one point were on the table. I don't know what happened. You know what I'm saying?
Well, Nagano's what hurt. Stipe says he took it, and then they pulled it. So I don't know. There's too much in the air there. I don't know that I believe any of them.
Okay. Matter of fact, let's switch the gear. Let's talk about resurgence. How about Wonder Boy Thompson has I don't want to say reinvented himself, but he reminded everybody that he can whoop a motherfucker's ass now. You know, I was a huge George Masvidal fan, right? I was like, I don't think Wonder Boy is gonna be able to beat George. And then Wonder Boy beat the brakes off George. I was like, holy shit. Okay, Wonder Boy can really fight. Right? So now we thinking Wonder Boy may have been kind of past his prime, his ability to get it done, and then he fights his last fight. God dang it. See when you get old fans. Yo, Sean, who did Wonder Boy just fight that he beat He beat the brakes off of. God damn it! But his last fight, he reminded everybody that he get it done. You know what I'm saying? So now he deserves, you know, being put in the right spots to fight the right people. Maybe even go for another title shot.
Well, and that's the thing. I think Warner Boy stayed. He stayed fairly healthy. He
Yeah.
trained right through most of his life. He didn't do the party scene like John did.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's still got time. Do I
Yeah.
think he's peaked? I mean, he's getting on out there that age where it better happen quick.
Yeah.
But I think he's still got more in the tank. I think he's still got more to go.
Mm-hmm.
I really do.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So let's talk some local stuff that we're gonna wrap it up. Let's match make a fight right now. So let me ask you. I meant to ask you this when we talk about
Oh, shoot it.
bare knuckle. What happened?
No, we're good.
Oh, why?
What are you thinking, bare knuckle?
I was thinking, how come there weren't no talk for Taylor versus Andy? Aren't they kind of close in the same weight class for a local semi high profile fight? Yeah, Kevin
I'm
Holland.
actually
Thanks,
thinking
Sean.
that's a ridiculous.
Are you
I
breaking
actually
up?
think that would be a ridiculously. 1 second.
Yeah, you gotta come back to the to
Hey,
your
hey, come on, guys. Come on, guys. Now, um, I actually think that would be a ridiculously high profile fight,
uh-huh.
and I would love for David Feldman, Nate Shook, whoever the hell wants to make the call to go. This is a fight we want to see.
Hmm.
That's the only fight I want to see right now.
Yeah.
I want to see that fight. Oh, that they've become buddies or they're doing photo shoots together. I don't give a shit. I want to see it. I want to see that fight.
And
I
that's
think
go
that
ahead.
they're going to keep screwing around and feeding Andy a couple of entry feeder people until she builds her name, and then that might be a talk later. But I want to see it right now. Andy ain't getting no younger.
Hmm.
Taylor's still young, but Andy ain't getting no younger. I want to see it now. I want to see that fight. And then I'd go, that fight would have made me go, oh, yeah, I'm driving to Myrtle Beach. I don't give a shit. Like, I want to see that. I
And
feel like you would have had a huge turnout at Myrtle Beach
yeah.
had you made that fight.
And that's what I mean by, picking the buzz fights that make sense. Like you just said, picking fights that make sense. You would think that would have been a no-brainer. Like to go, you know what? This is the Carolinas. Y'all both pretty good dames in the Carolinas. It makes sense. You might even be the main event
That
based
would have
off of
been
where
the,
we're at.
yeah, that would have been the only fight I was trying to make.
Yeah.
If I would have been the matchmaker for Myrtle Beach, I would have been trying to make Taylor Starlin versus Andy Nguyen. I would have been
Mhm.
trying to make that happen. At the very least, I would have had Andy Nguyen fight somebody who was up and coming as much as she is,
Mhm.
and tried to get Taylor to have her bare knuckle return on that card.
Yeah.
I would like to see them both fight on the card.
Yeah. Yeah. So, like I said, I'm trying to think of what we got coming up. I'm trying to think who would I want to see. Like who would I want to see take on Keith Richardson right now? I can't think of anybody who's buzzing right now, local scene wise, right? Everybody who's doing it is gone. Everybody who's making away, they either done moved away, or like I said, or they ain't fighting. You know what I'm saying? So right now, like I said, Josh is a good buzz. I want to see who's trying to fight. Josh said people who's turning him down. He can't get certain fights either. So right, your shit them. All right, I guess we gotta wrap it up. Like Chad shit them broke. See what see what happened when we. All right, fight fans. Looks like we may gonna have to wrap it up. Chad struggling.
The call
Are you back?
technical difficulties.
Boy, I tell you, boy. See, when you bring these newbies on, they don't know what the hell they're doing. They can't hit a certain button, but it's okay. He's yeah,
You
he's gonna
got
make
me
it work.
now on audio.
I'm good. I got you. Are you back, brother?
Audio's cut.
No, I can hear you. I can hear you fine.
I can't hear you.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, we're gonna wrap it up. All right. Hey, this is Coach D. We trying to make it work, but Chad's audio did a kibosh, and we gonna go ahead and call it. But the Wild Hours back in business. We're doing what we daggone doing, and we gonna make it work. So we gonna go ahead and call it. This is Coach D with my road dog Chad the mother effing Burns. To hear from me again, peace out.